Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday market call. My name is Lee Honish with Home Advocates. You can visit us at www.homeadvocates.io. Do you have to say the www part anymore, Fred? Seems redundant these days.
I don't think so.
I think it's
I don't
over,
think so.
right? Like people just don't do it. You just go homeadvocates.io, not .com, .io. I don't even think I have to say that anymore. I think .io is becoming a thing, but I could be wrong. We're streaming live both on Facebook and here with our group. We'll be turning the recorders off in a minute, as we do always with the group that shows up live answering questions. This is a market data call for all of you who are in the real estate industry. I am joined by my chief operating officer and very good friend, uh, Fred Solomon. How are you, Fred?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
Outstanding. I'm disappointed we have no dog on the call with us today, so I don't know if I can handle it.
Oh, they're relaxing.
Oh,
They're
okay.
doing good.
All right. Well, I'm not happy unless the dogs are involved. Uh,
No workers at the house. It's the workers and the people coming, for 9 months of just every day, people come into the house and the dogs bark.
Territorial at very best. So if it's your first time on the live webinar, if it's your first time following us on Facebook, for those on social media, click like, subscribe, smash the like button, follow me, follow Fred, please. We enjoy it. We talk about the market and the data. We are an organization that are designed to basically kind of get rid of the stigma of being a realtor. We've kind of altered that whole image for the entire year. Don't believe us? Go to whatever you want. Use any search engine you want. In fact, just use your phone and type in the words home advocate. And right there, line one, you will see the company. Feel free to scroll down and you can look at our list of home advocates. We are here and designed to fix broken real estate and give good information to people, which ultimately leads for those of you in the real estate industry to get listings and deals. If you're an investor, we also work with investors. I'm happy to announce. So, with all of that said, this is our market call, and there is a lot of market to cover and what that really means to all of us, right? Like, let's break them down. Let's rewind the clock uh, to the beginning of the year, Fred, because when I say it, it sounds like I'm just talking out of my butt when I say it. At the beginning of the year, January 1st, people were still very optimistic about 2022. Was that the general impression of, I don't know, let's go with companies like Redfin and Zillow?
Even even local investors that you and I have respect for, like who was it? Robert Fragoso. He was very optimistic on the
Steve
market.
Hawks, number one agent in Las Vegas. Steve Hawks, still bullish on the market. It'll never
Yeah,
end.
he is. Yeah, he really is. And his reasoning, that because I follow his reasoning, and I don't I it's hard to argue his reasoning because I don't know how active the hedge funds are in Vegas, but he's got some things that he's writing on these offers, because there are so many hedge funds writing offers on the properties. He basically writes on the contract, we are not a investor, we are a family. We are looking to buy this property for ourselves. Don't sell to a hedge fund. It's going to increase, it's going to cause a major problem of in real estate here in Las Vegas. I mean, he pretty much writes a cover letter and says this when he submits his offers. And you know what? It's been working for him. He's been getting offers accepted. So, you got to listen to people who are doing it the right way. I still don't necessarily agree with his reasoning, because to me, it's a simple supply and demand issue. And once the inventory starts increasing, and once, I don't know what the foreclosure problem is like in Vegas,
It's bad.
but yeah, I'd like to compare it to what it was before the pandemic. I'd like to compare it to the numbers back when it was 2008, 9, and 10, 11, and 12. I want to, I just want to see how the numbers compare right now to what it was like back then, just to get an idea of how it's going. But once the inventory increases and once the interest rates have gone up as much as they have, which we already know they're above 6% now, I mean, prices are coming down. There's no way they're not going to. And I will put that on my tombstone when I die. And I don't care what professional, economic, smart person there is out there. It's just no way. Now I do see rents going up.
Oh yeah.
Because housing affordability is going to be through the roof.
Well, in that there's still the same problem, which is you still need to evict 7 million people who haven't paid rent. That's still an issue.
Yeah.
And all they've done is kick that can down the road with their various state and local programs to buy more time. Here in San Diego, they actually put in another eviction moratorium, a no-fault eviction moratorium in San Diego, which is really working out well, especially with our 8,000 homeless people. So we're back at January. It is 2022 is still going to be great. Lawrence Yun is still very optimistic. We're going to appreciate where everything is good. Stay the course, everyone. Everything will be great. I think Zillow was the biggest proponent of, hey, we're going to keep appreciating. Okay, great. People who work for big organizations where they get to buy stock value, all were going through the roof all the way until January. And then something happened right after January, Fred. And the first thing that I brought up at the first of the month, the first Monday or first Wednesday that we did one of these calls, I said, it's a house of cards. This has been a house of cards since the first day they offered forbearance agreements. You cannot give people money and tell them not to pay. As a career banker, there's one thing I know, that when you tell people not to pay and forgive a section of debt, they're not going to pay it back statistically, a percentage of them. Now, on top of that, you've got unemployment and people who haven't paid through the pandemic. And you had about another 800,000 or 900,000 people before the pandemic that were stretching things out because of loan mods and, things that stretched all the way back until 2007, near as I can tell in some of these cases, right? So when you look at all these numbers combined, there were still two very large looming numbers. You've got, approximately 3 million homeowners that have not made a payment. The second is you've got about 7 million renters who need to be evicted. And you've got homeless issues literally in every city that seem to be growing exponentially. So
it's only going to get worse with rising rents because people aren't going to be able to buy houses because everybody I talked to, I talked to a lady who responded to me on Facebook the other day, and I told you about her yesterday. And I'll just tell you how that conversation went, just so you get an idea. So her payment was $2,400 a month. Her reasoning for selling was that she's got two grown teenagers and they're living in a 2-bedroom apartment. The teenagers share a room. One of them's 6'4", the other one is 6 foot. They're in their, teenage years. They want their own privacy. So they really would like to, they've outgrown their property. And then she saw my video and said, oh, I like your idea about fixing up the property before you sell it. And, I'm interested in doing that. Meanwhile, her relative is a real estate agent. So I haven't even got into that aspect of it. So she goes, well, the houses that we're interested in are in the $850,000 or $900,000 range. She works for the LA County Property Tax Assessors Division. So she works in, where everybody yells and calls and screams at them, why are my property taxes so high? She does well there, and she's one of the higher ups. And so we were looking at the payment, what it was going to be, and her payment was going to turn from $2,400 into $5,400 a month,
Yeah.
$3,000 higher per month. And that's with the 20% down payment. And you know what she said? Fred, I really want to buy something, but we can't really afford that. We'll have like no life.
Right. That's really the so I was watching, as I do every day, my normal now that I'm healthier, now that I've survived COVID, pneumonia, uh, and infections, uh, I went back to my normal routine yesterday. So I was catching up on everything. And it was the first time that I actually saw one of the news organizations, and I saw it on both Fox and CNBC. So right, left, true media people, whatever it is that you follow, I saw it on both sides. Breaking down people now going, no, there's a decrease in going out to eat. There is a decrease in entertainment. Concert attendance is down. Like these things are on the decline. Like all these bands that think they're going to go out this summer and make lots of money, right? I got a lot of empty seats. These aren't sold out events anymore. People don't have the disposable income. And within the last 24 hours, I've seen it on what I would say right media and left media. I don't think anybody is balanced ever. I would like to believe that all of us should be balanced when we explain things to homeowners. But people, the report is we're down to what, 4.4% in savings? Like the average house has 4.4% in savings. Wrap your brain around that, everyone. 4.4% in savings. Now, if you're from an immigrant household, which I'm not, but I've been told this, I like this whole myth of keeping 6 months in reserve all the time is astounding to me. And I've met a lot of people who kind of operate in that mentality. But those of us who live in the United States our entire lives or come from families generationally, it really isn't like that. Like we've gotten away from, like we all really do kind of live paycheck to paycheck because we all kind of figure it will work out. 80%, 80% are at 4.4% savings, Fred. That's scary. You are literally a layoff from, say, Compass. Oh, did Compass just lay off a bunch of employees? Or how about Redfin? They laid off another 1,800. So those people who got their severance package, and actually the report that Inman put out made it sound funny. Oh, they're only laying off the full-time employees, not the real estate agents. Well, yeah, they're not paying the real estate agents. You don't need to lay them off. Like, of course you wouldn't lay them off. That's kind of ridiculous, actually. When Zillow laid off, what did they lay off, Fred? 4,000 or 2,000?
I don't know.
It was in the thousands. It was definitely in the thousands. I'm sure somebody will type it in.
Well,
but
last November, they laid off 25% of their workforce. That I do know for
yeah,
sure.
but I believe it was like 2,000 people.
Oh, I could look it up. I could find out real fast.
It's all right. But we're not looking at these layoffs, and we're not looking at the rollover, and we're not looking at the recession. So let's jump ahead to the end of the first quarter. Everybody is still whistling in the dark. NAR is still telling a story, even though they had their first 3 straight months of a down cycle on pending and active sales, right? Then we have the first rate hike, which in a sense destroys the mortgage industry on resale. It was 2,000. Thank you, Don. 2,000 people is a lot of people. Compass laying.
Don was faster than me.
He was.
Don, that's not fair. I'm usually I'm fast on that stuff. He got me before he got me.
He got you. He literally beat you by a hair on that one. So we get to the first quarter. They do the first interest rate hike, really, which totally destroys the refinance market, which was kind of a bread and butter industry. Now you got mortgage companies and banks laying off people. And I keep hearing about these great job reports. How is that even a thing? Like, are they mathematically adjusted? Are you telling me that a McDonald's job is the same as a job at Zillow? They're not. One can actually pay my rent, and one will actually let me be able to afford McDonald's. I mean, to be perfectly honest. So why would I want to? I didn't go to school so that I could work for 15 bucks at Walmart. Well, there's jobs at Walmart. Nobody wants to do them. Right. Nobody wants to do them. And when you go to Walmart, you'll find out why. They hire exactly what they get. Right. That's the first quarter. NAR's still optimistic, seasonally, annually adjusted, still doing their horse crap. And here we are going into the summer season. Everybody, Fred, everybody before we hit the first week of July, everyone is changing their story. Everyone. So let's break down what's happened in the past 24 hours. Before we do that, for those of you that are here live on the call that are previous students or that are here, which means you're on the list, which means you've seen me live, there is an offer if you guys want to upgrade and be a part of the new program with the automated call center, with the lead center. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. Page one of Google. How would you like to be on page one of Google? I don't care what company you work for. You're not on page one of Google. Your name, your email address. Just to mention a few things, you can click that link and find out more. That's for you guys. That's our upgrade price. Thank you so much. If you want to find out more about the organization, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, go to homeadvocates.io. All right, here we are. June 15th, Fred. We're into yet another wave of COVID. We had I don't know what a strong jobs report means, which is completely ludicrous to me because all I've read and watched online are layoffs. Inman News, for the first time ever, is talking about layoffs with some of the biggest real estate providers because they're losing money. They've been losing money for 6 months, but they tried to remain optimistic. Zillow, I will say it again, Zillow is genius for laying off in November. They tried to head it off long before it started. All right. Then the interest rate yesterday jumps 1 full basis point to go over 6. Now, if you haven't been on many of these calls, or you just check in periodically, or you just watch my videos, you'll know that Fred and I had a little prediction in January where he said, there is no way the interest rate. What did you think the interest rate would actually cap at? 5, 5.5?
Just like I figured 1% higher. That's what I figured.
For the year, right?
Yeah, for the year.
Yeah. And I made the very bold prediction of saying, no, it'll be 7. And here we are at 6 and change, Fred. And now that you're getting ready to buy me a Ferrari for my prediction, I'm going to just keep raising the bet of what I said. And now I think I lowballed it, honestly. I said 2 things at the beginning of the year. And there are plenty of people who will back this up, and they'll say it in the description because Terrell's heard me say every word and hit every mark. I said this market is going to lose between 10 and 20% of its value this year. And number 2, the interest rates are going to go to at least 7, if not more. Well, here we are in June. I got 1 out of 2. And I can tell all of you, because I talk to people in individual markets who look at daily reports. Okay, I will admit, we only have a half month of supply in certain markets. In other markets, it's jumped to 0.8 to 1%. They're actually, or to 1, I should say. So 1 month. So what a normal market is deemed at is 6 months of inventory, if you don't know this. So there are markets as high as now 3 months down to about 0.5. So if you're talking South Florida, they only have about a 0.5, half a month of inventory.
Stop right there just for a second, Lee,
Yeah.
because this is important. It's 1.3 in the Coachella Valley.
Yep.
It was 0.7, it went up to 0.9, then up to 1.3. So everybody in your market, you should know what the inventory supply is, because right now it is a supply and demand issue. And that's the only reason that home prices haven't dropped in the area that you live in. Once the supply gets to the normal level of 4 to 6 months, then I guarantee you Lee is going to be right. And by the way, even in my own neighborhood where the supply was 0.9 or 0.7, less than one, less than in my own neighborhood, prices have dropped 10%, even with the low inventory supply. So that doesn't always hold true. Then I wrote an offer on a $2.8 million property, and we ended up getting the offer accepted at 3.1. So we went 10% above the asking price, but that was in Westlake Village near David Bartels.
Yep.
So it just depends on the area.
It does. It does completely. It does completely. It's an increasing rate here in San Diego because people don't want to be here because of the prices and because of the homeless. It doesn't change the demand of investors who see a Verbo sitting next to the USS Naval, Museum. I mean, I totally get what's driving the market. I get that. But the minute the word recession happens, if you guys really, and by the way, we are 2 weeks away from an official word of a recession, right? It's going to blow up. It's going to blow everything up. If you think investors are going to keep buying real estate when they say the word recession, I would like to point everybody at the stock market. Those people are already getting out of Dodge, which takes us to the biggest news that we started this with. In approximately 2 hours, the Fed, who was only going to raise the rate by 0.5%, has now pretty much confirmed and leaked through sources that it'll be 0.75% to 1% to try to cool this thing down. That's crazy, Fred.
Yeah.
They got to stop it.
I know.
Hyperinflation is out of control. They're trying to avert a recession, which they can't. I don't know why they just don't give in and don't raise the debt ceiling, bankrupt everybody, crash this sucker down. Let's crash the dollar. Sure, it'll be awful. For those of you in real estate, I would recommend working in foreclosures. You'll do great. That's what we do here. Again, for those of you who worked with me in the past, click the link. That's the upgrade button. It doesn't really exist outside this forum. So, and I know
what's going to happen.
I got a question. I know Jen's on the call. She's in Idaho. You've had inventory going up. You guys should be like at 2 or 3 months in Idaho right now, Jen. Am I wrong about that? If you're listening. And I agree with Sally, and preserve your 401ks and diversify. Yes, Tina, I will. Yeah, it depends on the city, but cities are seeing depreciation in the Idaho areas, correct? You guys were predicted as one of the first cities to go. Yeah, I completely get it because it's Boise. Like, you have stuff going on.
Well, they have the university.
Oh, of course. But it's not happening. So when you talk about California, look, Modesto is still high in value with low inventory. Okay, people aren't dying to move to Modesto. And trust me, it's a hole. It's like saying I'm moving to Stockton. Nobody moves to Stockton. So with all of that said, what's that mean for you guys? Well, how are you going to get listings exactly? Like, people aren't going to want to sell in this storm. I guarantee it. We're already over the hump. If people can't see that we're at the top of the hill, and I talk about this all the time with the people I shoot video with, Fred, like, what do you have to say to people who, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait? Well, I love roller coasters, okay? I love a roller coaster called Goliath, which at one point was the tallest, fastest at Magic Mountain. When you get to the top, you kind of know you're at the top. You can feel it tugging on the other side. What I wonder always with real estate agents is, it's going to be a recession, right? Like, it. The stock market's crashing. It's only a matter of time until real estate investors are kind of over this whole thing. And I'm not saying that hedge funds and the bigger firms like BlackRock aren't still going to keep buying real estate where they can. They probably will.
Because the reason they will, Lee, is because rentals are going up. They're paying cash for the properties, and it's a cash on cash return situation where they can guarantee 6%
right
to the investors.
Right.
And where can you get 6% guaranteed on your money right now with a laundry list of people that are waiting behind this person if they default, that they're going to be able to get into that, and raise the rent. And they're controlling the rental markets in a lot of cities because housing is too unaffordable now for many, many people. And then their rents are increasing and they're being bought up by some of these hedge funds. So yeah, it's a problem. I mean, especially in Vegas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh, I I cannot stress this enough. For those of you who work traditional real estate, right? Like, how are you getting listings? Like, if you're not specializing in probates, divorces, pre-foreclosure work, like, how do you expect to get like normal work? I there are the limited number, depending on your market, is well below what it should be. And I guarantee you have the same number of real estate professionals and investors chasing after those properties. So, what I don't understand is the diversification. And I saw this in 2007. When I first started speaking, I'd speak to a room of 30 people. I'd be lucky if I could get, 30 or 50 people in, a Motel 6 in Modesto or San Francisco for that matter, right? And I'd fight for it. A courtyard. I'll be very polite. I've done some things in a courtyard where I'm like, why am I here? I am here with two people. This is ridiculous. And then the roller coaster comes over or whatever tugs at the agent and they go, oh, this is the direction the market's going. How do I get involved with people who've missed payments? There is a number that keeps staring me in the face, and it's 3 million people who have not made a payment. And I know this from the backlog of evictions that are trying to happen right now. They're trying to catch up, and they will catch up, and it will be a drip line. And for those that are actually going out and marketing and doing it, they understand. They're still working on people they were foreclosing on in 2007. They're taking the first group. Then they'll move to the next group, and then they'll have to deal, I guess, with the forbearance people. And then I guess you turn the FICO system back on, all during a recession where interest rates are sky high. Oh, I think I downplayed how much we're going to depreciate by the end of the year. I think prices come down more than 10% before the end of the year. In fact, I'm not going to be really surprised when a national number is very dramatic at the end of the year. I think it's going to hurt some markets tremendously. But here we are. And I keep saying the same thing to agents. What are you doing to get listings? Most of you don't have lists. You're not working or following up with your past clients. You're not doing anything to generate new clients. You're not going out and talking to people. And you're really confused by the market. And the Fed is literally going to raise the interest rate today. So within 24 hours, 1% interest rate hike. Today, the Fed is going to go, I'll be fair. Let's say they go 3/4 of a point. And in 2 weeks, they're going to call this a recession. I'd be scared, wouldn't you, Fred? If you didn't have business?
I'm actually figuring out that right now that, based on the phone calls that I'm getting, that a lot of the buyers can't afford the payments. And even if they could afford the payments, it would crimp their lifestyle so much that it doesn't make sense for them to move. So it's just leading me to a marketing technique, and that is selling in the expensive areas and buying for cash in the less expensive areas with the equity that they have in their homes. That, to me, is the marketing technique today. Selling in expensive areas and buying in less expensive areas, and then of course foreclosures and listings. Though that's where
you're actually doing a microclimate high low. You're doing what we all should have done, prior to the first go round, right? sell properties at the top of the market, which everybody should be doing right now. Sit it out, live in a van, go live with your mom, and buy low. You're kind of microclimating that out in the Coachella.
Well, that's what I think makes sense.
It does make
I,
sense. It
I
completely makes sense. And again, I'll say it one last time. If you're looking for new leads, listings, the upgrade to the old monster system, be on page one of Google, be a home advocate, learn the whole routine. I'm going to put the link in the description. It is a one-time fee because you guys are past students. So feel free to use that. I'm going to turn off the Facebook Live.
have one thing that I wanted to mention.